Hey guys, this week it's time to rinse and repeat. This time on the driver's side. Hey guys, welcome back to AMS. This week we're moving on to the driver's side of the Travelall. We've got it backed into the shop now so we can work on this side, still on the slightly wider, more comfortable section of my shop just because of how much crap I have down that wall. So we've got it turned around and it's time to get started on all of the same body repairs we've already completed over here on the passenger side. So we're looking at door sill replacement, then tying the Travelall to the Tahoe body, and then replacing the lower quarters down here. That's where we're going to get into. I don't know how far we're going to get. I'm hoping things will go a little bit better, a little bit easier, because I've been down this road already. But there's only one way to find out. That's just to get stuck into it. If you missed last week's episode, I'll throw up a link for that. If you're new here, I'll go ahead and post up a link to the entire playlist so you can see where we started and how far we've come. If you're enjoying what you're seeing here, having fun with the shenanigans here in the shop, please hit that subscribe button, tap a like for us, tell your friends. We do appreciate it. Anyway, guys, let's get stuck into this week's project. So the Dakota's just been sitting on my car hauler since I picked it up. But finally, yesterday, I was able to pick up a really clean set of second-gen Dakota rims with actually, you know, some halfway decent tires on them. I think maybe I have another 10,000 miles left in them. So, I picked up that set, and now we are going to go ahead, get those put onto the Dakota, and see if we can get the Dakota unloaded so that my car hauler is free to be used if I need to. So here's the Dakota, where it's going to live for the foreseeable future. Right behind it are some other projects that you will see later on the channel. A 1971 Datsun 510 wagon with a 2.4 liter and a 5-speed.
a 1986 Nissan 720 pickup that I will probably just get running and sell to fund other builds. And in front of that, a snowmobile-powered go-kart.
So we're here at the junkyard this morning, making a run. It's 50% off day for Memorial Day weekend, so we're going to see if we can pick up a whole bunch of stuff for a bunch of different projects. So we'll see what we can find in the yard. Hopefully this goes pretty well. It is supposed to rain today. That may make it suck, but it should also mean there are fewer people here. Let's get to it. Well guys, it was a pretty long day at the junkyard. I ended up not really filming anything once I was in there. Mostly because it was raining on and off all day, so just trying to deal with showing what I was doing, plus getting it done, Just ended up not working. However, I did end up with a good load of stuff. Not everything I went there hoping I could pick up, but I found some pretty great stuff to replace what I didn't get that I was planning on. So, let's have a quick look. I picked up this set of black seats. They're out of a GM... They're out of a 97X, like you see there. They have the built-in seat belts and whatever. I don't even know if I'm going to use them for anything, but seats were $15 a piece today, so it was cheaper to buy these with the seat heaters in them than it would have been to try to take the seat heaters out and buy the seat heaters. So, we bought the whole seats. Those are in really good shape. There's just one rough spot right there. But I might be able to come up with something to help that look better. So we picked up a couple of seats. This is a 12-volt powered air compressor for air suspension, also out of actually that same 97X, with a switch to turn it on and off. I plan to put some air load assist shocks in the Travelall, and I want to wire that up under there at some point so that I don't have to go to a gas station or use an air compressor to fill the shocks. I can just fill them straight from the compressor. This right here is the steering rack out of a early 90s Mazda Miata. I have a Miata as a parts car for another project, but the steering rack that's in it is from the NB, the second generation, and doesn't actually fit. So I picked this up, so hopefully it will fit just fine. That's just a factory replacement radio to go in one of the family vehicles. This was one of the really cool scores that I was super happy about. This is an IHI supercharger off of a Mazda Millennia, estimated to be a 1.2-liter supercharger capable of pretty high amounts of boost. I've wanted to buy one for a long time for a whatever project. I don't even know what it's going in. But with 50% off this weekend, ended up being a really good deal. So I bought that for myself, and as I was walking through the junkyard after pulling that, I saw this, which is a decently sized intercooler. I mean, for size, you can see how big my hand is. Also out of a Mazda, actually. It's out of a turbocharged Mazda CX-5, maybe? So I picked that up, which will go with that in whatever that goes in. A couple of shift knobs I liked the look of, and a nice, simple, clean, round bezel and boot. Over here, we have two pieces of glass. This, a front window, and this, a big, long side window. Both of those are panes of laminated glass, meaning I can cut them. One of my other projects, the quad cab Nissan 720 I've mentioned before, the rear doors are a custom size, so I'm confident the windows will also have to be built custom. So I bought those two panes of glass, hoping that that will get me a long way there. I would have bought both of the front windows. Once again, this window is out of that same 97X, but the other one unfortunately was broken. The big long window behind it is out of an 80s Suburban. But the big victory today was this tailgate. This tailgate is from a 1987 Suburban.
It has the glass intact in it. It has an electric key switch to run the window motor to move this window up and down. And it's complete on the backside. It's all strapped into the trailer still, so I'll go into more detail about this later. But this was purchased because I want to gut it and use those guts to fix the back of the Travelall, where I have no window, no motor. I don't know if I will use this window. I may reshape the Travelall to use this window. I simply don't know. One advantage of this window, too, is it does have defrost lines on it, which I think is fantastic, and for the type of use I plan to put the Travelall through, should be pretty good. And then one last thing you can see here. This is the back side of it, but it's just a piece of stamped trim. I pulled that out of that same Suburban. It's just an old piece of stamped metal trim, something I can probably use in the Travelall somewhere. So we went ahead and got that while we were at it. So all told, it really was a pretty good day at the junkyard. Got a bunch of stuff that I can make use of in future projects, including the Travelall. For now, all this is pretty much going to go into storage. But one other thing I may go back for, you guys don't care. By the time you see this, I'll have decided that. So anyway, guys, that burned pretty much all of my Saturday getting that stuff pulled and getting back home. So, not a lot of work on the Travelall itself right now. Got to get back into it, but this stuff was well worth taking the time off to go get. I ended up going back to the junkyard to pull this middle row for the Travelall. It was 15 bucks, so well worth it, even though it's a trip for me. It's not perfect, obviously. You can see, like so much of the GM leather from this time period, it's pretty tired. It's got its gaps and everything, or wear spots, but no actual splits at this time. So I'll just have to try and clean and condition the crap out of it and try to get as much life as I can out of it. I eventually hope to reupholster it because currently I have 3 rows for that Travelall that do not match. So I'd like to reupholster it, but for now, at least, you know, it's in decent shape. It's in better shape than what's in there currently. 15 bucks, hard to complain. This piece is out of a Denali, and so it actually has seat heaters built in. I think they're only in the bottom, not in the backs. But regardless, it will give me the opportunity to set up second row heating, which I think is awesome. So, anyway, that's all the parts I collected. I should probably get back to work on the Travelall. Alright, we are now on the driver's side front door. Dash right here, driver's side A-pillar. So you can see we've got a lot of the same damage. Some of it may be even worse. This whole inner door lip has rusted completely off. This is pretty chewed up here. The back corner here is also super rusted out and everything. So, this is where we are starting to repeat the process that we did on the other side. I'll start by building this piece and then cut out the old, and then we'll just keep going from there. Well, it didn't end up quite where I originally had intended, but it fits where it's sitting pretty nicely. And honestly, coming in a little low should make it easier to weld under this without having to completely redo everything. Although, looking at it, I may need to replace this piece. It looks kind of hammered. We'll just have to see. But otherwise, the fit seems pretty good. Seems pretty good under here as well. So I think that's alright. I can weld that all together, grind it back, get this piece cut down into the shape I end up needing. But that doesn't even have to be now. So I'll just get this piece all welded up, maybe do a rough cut but not a close cut, and then just leave it at that point. Because I think what I'll do, I need to replace this section here, but not this here. So what I'll do is I'll cut out everything, remove this piece, put this piece in, weld it to the Travelall up here, and then just weld in this piece afterward. I think that'll work just fine. I don't think there's any reason that should be a problem. And that will make sure I can line up all my different pieces pretty well. So I think we'll go ahead and get this welded. I imagine someone with a little more experience wouldn't feel it was necessary to disassemble stuff like this. But honestly, I don't know enough about what to expect under a piece that I gotta take it apart to see what's in there. Then once I've done that, I can go about making sure I replace that piece properly. Alright, well with the front one basically disassembled and the new piece more or less assembled, I still need to do a little work, but I'll do that work in place. I think I'm going to turn to this back one. Basically, I'll need to cut it an inch or two up all the way out to the outside here and replace this whole lower corner. So, I need to figure some stuff out about this shape and probably make some assumptions. If I need to, I will look at the other side, but that's easier said than done. With the Travelall pushed all the way to one side of the shop, it's not really easy to open those doors and get a look. But maybe I can get it open far enough to look at this. Because what I'm thinking is going on here is that this line well, I don't know. I guess I'll try and take a look at that other side. So I've got this thing all ugly welded up. Lots of grinding, a little bit more welding to do on it. But the shape is locked in. I'll probably do a little bit of welding here on the backside as well and clean that up just to make sure everything's nice and strong. But from the heat I've put into it, it's still pretty good, but it's not quite fitting as well as it used to. So I've got a little bit of hammering to do. Try and stretch some of this upper section in particular back out. Everything down here seems good. It's just up here that it really seems like it needs a little bit of stretching. So I'm going to go ahead and work on that part now. Some progress has been made off camera. I had a buddy over today, so we were hanging out and tinkering around with this thing. So I didn't bother doing much filming. But this chunk is pretty well assembled. Just lots of grinding to do on it. And then I need to put a lip on it here. And, whoops. I still haven't decided if I'm going to replace this piece yet or not. I'm not sure if I really need to. Maybe I'll cut it off, look under it, and then if it's bad, make a new one. If it's good, I can just put it back. So that may be an option. I've got a lot of cleaning and stuff to do up in here. If you recall from the last time, I think I'm stuck in the same place. I ended up cleaning all of this as best I could, and then just welding a new piece in on top of it. But, you know, I think that should fit pretty well. I've just got to trim it all back, trim it so that it fits up into this. That cut was just from getting all of the rest of this. So I've got a little bit of welding and touch-up to do on that B-pillar. Folded up the main piece of rocker I'm going to be putting in here, or along the top here. I still have some other stuff to do to it. If I follow suit from last time, I need to cut this thing off somewhere in here. And then I also need to weld some depth on so that it comes all the way back. But of course, before I do that, I really need to clean all of this. So really, I've got a few different things I can be working on right now. I can start grinding this piece up. I can start trying to remove rust up in there and also cut out some of the worst of the rust right here. And I can start removing all the rust from there. This entire piece will come out. I'll be removing that and replacing it completely. And then I also need to remove these spot weld points. So plenty of work to be doing. Just got to decide which flavor I'm in the mood for and get cranking.
Well, guys, that's all the time we have for this week. I'm sure you'll all be waiting with bated breath to know exactly which type of fun I decide is coming up next. Progress has been a little slow lately, as I turned aside to a couple of other things, but it is nice to have that Dakota unloaded and in its parking place. It's nice to have all those purchases that I picked up. They were well worth doing. But now that we're back on this thing, hopefully we can push through this driver's side pretty quick. I really hope in the next episode we're able to not only get this rocker installed, but also get the rear door rocker installed. But that's probably a little ambitious. So we're just going to keep cranking, grind on through this stuff that's not exactly the funnest part of this build at this point. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.